Over a period of 2013-2014, the society formed a request for a new vector of the country's development. Ukraine was to get rid of the old troubles and finally announce the battle against banditry, corruption, money laundering, embezzlement, and the total lie of power. It was at this time, as if answering the request for combating corruption, that some public organizations came into a whirl of activity. The investigation carried out by us illustrates how, under pretense of the anti-corruption activity of a non-profit public organization, cashing out of international aid proceeds, further settling in the pockets of the leaders of its organization. Meanwhile, in the rankings of corruption, Ukraine doesn't improve its position, but rather falls all the lower. Antac, Anti-Corruption Action Center. We tracked what the multi-million-dollar grants were spent for, and the obtained results made us ask the question whether the existence of such organizations that are now trying to actively influence the state's personnel policy and the vector of its development is useful for Ukraine. Grants 2013-2016. Over a period of 2013-2016, Antac receives $1,200,000 United States dollars for the implementation of its activities. $245.8 thousand was transferred by the Global Fund through the All-Ukrainian Network of AIDS-Diseased People. $241.5 thousand United States dollars was transferred by USAID through Pact Incorporated Uniter. $205.3 thousand United States dollars was transferred by the International Renaissance Foundation. $189.7 thousand United States dollars was transferred by the International Development Law Organization. $128.4 thousand United States dollars was transferred by USAID through the All-Ukrainian Network of AIDS-Diseased People. $109,000 United States dollars was transferred by the Government of the Kingdom of the Netherlands under the METRO program. $12,900 United States dollars was transferred by the Democracy Assistance Fund, U.S. Embassy. $83.3 thousand United States dollars other private donations. International organizations and funds transfer heavily for execution of certain programs. After the execution, organizations receiving grants report on its work. For example, reporting to donors, Antac states that they initiated the adoption of 19 laws of Ukraine, created a national registry of public figures of Ukraine, held 3 annual conferences on asset recovery, took part in the programs of investigative journalism, and etc. And now here are the results. None of the 19 initiated laws states that Antac is their author or initiator. The National Registry of Public Figures of Ukraine, the resource itself is not a registry and not updated. The data posted on the website are quite similar and matched with the property declarations of public figures and are not something unique or enhanced. Much of the information on public figures dated 2014. Conferences on asset recovery were held in quite respectable places, Luxury Hotels Opera and President Hotel. For example, in 2016, to organize the conference to be held in President Hotel, the Antac spent a total of 11.3 thousand Ukrainian hryvnias, 6,590 of which for service of the event and 4,797 for accommodation. It is to be noticed that the cost, as for the summer conference, is incredibly low. It is also to be noted that during its activity, the Antac has not returned and could not return assets in Ukraine due to the lack of such powers and opportunities public organization usually has. Subjects of journalistic investigations, members of the Antac are not specified in any of the plots as authors or co-authors. This is a striking example of how radically different reports and the results are. The Antac received funds as one of the executors of the International Technical Assistance Project, which is being implemented in Ukraine. According to paragraph 25 of the Decree of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, dated February 15, 2002, number 153, performers must submit reports to the Ministry of Economic Development and Trade of Ukraine. However, in violation of the current legislation, the Antac doesn't submit reports on the progress of the project. However, significant amounts of money withdrawn from the accounts of the Antac too. Salaries. According to our data, the salaries of the main figures of the Antac were as follows. Vitaly Shabunin, for the fourth quarter of 2016, chairman of the Antac, received 260,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Alexandra Ustinova, for the fourth quarter of 2016, board member of the Antac, received 260,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Tatiana Peklun, for 2016, chief accountant of the Antac, received 730,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Antonina Volkotrup, for 2016, finance director of the Antac, received 530,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Daria Kolinuk, for 2016, executive director of the Antac, received 380,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Exorbitant salaries of members of non-profit organizations are inaccessible to most Ukrainians, but it turned out that working with the Antac is not their only one financial benefit. In fact, the system is simple and worked out. Each of the 5 heads of the Antac is registered as an independent contractor and actually transferred funds to themselves that significantly exceed the official salary. The same way Shabunin received from the Antac, where he's one of the leaders, 1,700,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Independent contractor Ustinova received 1,860,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Independent contractor Sherbon, lawyer, member of the board of the Antac, received 2,420,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Independent contractor Peklun received 1,100,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Independent contractor Kalinuk received 130,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. Such transfers are a financial violation, and we would like to draw your attention to the following. One of the principles of the activity of public associations is the lack of property interest. The revenues of a public association are not subject to distribution among its members and shall not be used for the benefit of any individual member of the public association or its officials, other than payment for their labor and deductions for social activities. Clause 6, Article 3 of Law Number 4572. Thus, a public organization has the right to conduct entrepreneurial activities and receive income from it. However, such income shall not be distributed among the founders and members of a public organization. According to the current legislation, any payment of income, profit, to the founder, participant, employee, or member of a non-profit organization on the basis of a civil law contract, namely on the basis of such contracts, the Antac transferred funds to its independent contractors, is considered to be the use of the income of such a non-profit organization for the benefit of such a participant, and that is not for targeted use. If these violations occur, the non-profit organization should be excluded by the State Fiscal Service of Ukraine from the Register of Non-Profit Organizations. However, the salary fund of the leaders of the Antac and transfers to their independent contractors is not the only way to withdraw funds from the accounts of the organization. The transfer of funds specified as for services was carried out at 32 independent contractors amounting to 5,920,000 Ukrainian hryvnias. After the identification of the persons owning the independent contractors, it is easy to trace a link with the leadership of the Antac, and such facts give rise to well-founded suspicions of organizing a scheme for laundering international aid. Conventionally, we can distinguish 3 main groups of recipients of funds from the Antac. First group, 17 independent contractors, the same year students and friends of the heads of the Antac. Second group, 10 independent contractors received funds in the amount of 1 million Ukrainian hryvnias from the accounts of the Antac. Third group, 5 independent contractors for 2016 received funds in the amount of 500,000 Ukrainian hryvnias that were withdrawn through the ATM immediately the same day. In view of the foregoing, it can be concluded that during 2013-2016, the members of the Antac transferred part of the received funds from international organizations and foundations to accounts controlled by independent contractors, or allegedly provided relevant services that were not actually performed or carried out by other organizations and individuals with a view to their possible withdrawal in cash and subsequent legalization. Inquiry. By this investigation, we applied to the state fiscal service authorities with a requirement to conduct an audit of the Antac and to exclude the Antac from the register of nonprofit organizations. We also appealed to the General Prosecutor's Office of Ukraine and the Ministry of Economy and Trade with a request to conduct an investigation of the activities of the Antac. The data of this investigation are provided to the U.S. government with the purpose of informing and requesting to verify and conduct an investigation into how and what the money of American taxpayers transferred for the implementation of various programs by public organizations in Ukraine is used for.